A Course in Miracles. Lesson 70. My salvation comes from me. All temptation is nothing more than some form of the basic temptation not to believe the idea for today. Salvation seems to come from anywhere except from you. So too does the source of guilt. You see neither guilt nor salvation as in your own mind and nowhere else. When you realize that all guilt is solely an invention of your mind, you also realize that guilt and salvation must be in the same place. In understanding this, you are saved. The seeming cost of accepting today's idea is this. It means that nothing outside yourself can save you. Nothing outside yourself can give you peace. But it also means that nothing outside yourself can hurt you, or disturb your peace, or upset you in any way. Today's idea places you in charge of the universe, where you belong because of what you are. This is not a role that can be partially accepted, and you must surely begin to see that accepting it is salvation. It may not, however, be clear why the recognition that guilt is in your own mind entails the realization that salvation is there as well. God would not have put the remedy for the sickness where it cannot help. That is the way your mind has worked, but hardly His. He wants you to be healed, so He has kept the source of healing where the need for healing lies. You have tried to do just the opposite, making every attempt, however distorted and fantastic it might be, to separate healing from the sickness for which it was intended, and thus keep the sickness. Your purpose was to ensure that healing did not occur. God's purpose was to ensure that it did. Today we practice realizing that God's will and ours are really the same in this. God wants us to be healed, and we do not really want to be sick because it makes us unhappy. Therefore, in accepting the idea for today, we are really in agreement with God. He does not want us to be sick, neither do we. He wants us to be healed. So do we. We are ready for 2 longer practice periods today, each of which should last some 10 to 15 minutes. We will, however, still let you decide when to undertake them. We will follow this practice for a number of lessons. It would again be well to decide in advance when would be a good time to lay aside for each of them. Then adhere to your own decisions as closely as possible. Begin these practice periods by repeating the idea for today. Add a statement signifying your recognition that salvation comes from nothing outside of you. You might put it this way: my salvation comes from me. It cannot come from anywhere else. Then devote a few minutes, with your eyes closed, to reviewing some of the external places where you have looked for salvation in the past. Look at people, possessions, situations, events, and self-concepts that you sought to make real. Recognize that it is not there. Tell yourself, my salvation cannot come from any of these things. My salvation comes from me, and only from me. Now try again to reach the light in you, which is where your salvation is. You cannot find it in the clouds that surround the light. It is in them you have been looking for it. It is not there. It is past the clouds and in the light beyond. Remember that you will have to go through the clouds before you can reach the light. Remember also that you have never found anything in the cloud patterns you imagined that endured or that you wanted. Since all illusions of salvation have failed you, surely you do not want to remain in the clouds. You need not keep looking vainly for idols there. You can walk on into the light of real salvation. Try to pass the clouds by whatever means appeals to you. If it helps you, think of me holding your hand and leading you. I assure you this will be no idle fantasy. For the short and frequent practice periods today, remind yourself that your salvation comes from you. Nothing but your own thoughts can hamper your progress. You are free from all external interference. You are in charge of your salvation. You are in charge of the salvation of the world. Say then, my salvation comes from me. Nothing outside of me can hold me back. Within me is the world's salvation and my own. Lesson 70. My salvation comes from me. The keys were never lost. Lesson 70 sounds simple on the surface. My salvation comes from me. But the moment the sentence is read carefully, something uncomfortable happens. If salvation comes from me, then victimhood collapses. No more blaming parents, no more blaming partners, no more blaming society, no more blaming circumstances. Because if peace comes from the mind, then disturbance cannot originate outside it. That realization feels heavy at first. It sounds like a burden, a responsibility. But the lesson quietly reveals something else. It is not a burden. It is freedom. Because the same place where the problem appears is the same place where the answer lives. The Course states it plainly. When guilt is recognized as an invention of the mind, then salvation must also be there. The problem and the solution cannot be separated. They occupy the same location. Think of something simple. Imagine someone leaving their car keys in the bathroom. Then they search everywhere else. The bedroom, the kitchen, the car, outside. Eventually they throw their hands up and say the keys must not even be in the house. But the keys never left the house. The search was simply happening in the wrong place. That is the structure of the ego's world. The mind invents guilt. Then it searches for salvation everywhere except where the guilt was invented. In relationships, in achievements, in possessions, in status, in approval, in identity. But if the cause of the problem is in the mind, the solution cannot be somewhere else. The Course even says something profound. God would not place the remedy where it cannot help. The cure must exist where the sickness appears. Otherwise, healing would be impossible. But the ego does something clever. It tries to separate the two. It hides the cure from the sickness. It places guilt in the mind and tells you the answer is in the world. That guarantees the search never ends. Seek, but do not find. Because you are seeking in the clouds instead of the sky. The lesson introduces the metaphor of clouds and light. The light is always present, but clouds seem to cover it. People begin studying the cloud patterns. One cloud looks like success. Another cloud looks like love. Another cloud looks like security. Another cloud looks like validation. They search the clouds for the light, but the light was never inside the clouds. It was always beyond them. To reach it, you simply pass through. This is why the lesson says you must go through the clouds. Not because they are real obstacles, but because you believe they are. You pass through them until you see there was never anything solid there at all. The same thing is true with guilt. The ego says guilt is real. It says punishment is coming. It says something has gone terribly wrong. But the Course quietly reveals the truth. Guilt is an invention of the mind. And if it was invented there, it can be undone there. This is what salvation actually means. It does not mean being rescued from the world. It means being saved from misperception. Saved from believing something that was never true. That is why the lesson says understanding itself saves you. The moment the structure is seen, the illusion collapses. The mind recognizes that it has been searching for something it already contains. And this is where the lesson delivers its most surprising statement. You are in charge of the universe. Not the universe of planets and stars, the universe of meaning. Everything you experience is filtered through interpretation. Meaning produces guilt. Meaning produces grievance. Meaning produces fear. But meaning can also produce peace. The mind that assigned the meaning can release it. And when it does, something extraordinary happens. The search stops, because the mind finally realizes something simple. The keys were never lost. They were always in the house. The clouds never contained the sun. They only seemed to. And the salvation you spent a lifetime searching for was never somewhere out there waiting to be discovered. It was waiting quietly in the same place the illusion was made.